Stop. Before you spend your pennies, you need to hear this. Some old wheat-style pennies that look completely normal are actually worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of the most valuable pennies exists because it was made from the wrong metal by mistake, turning an ordinary-looking coin into a collector's dream. Another extremely valuable penny comes from a rare design detail that was removed quickly, making only a small number available to the public. And the most valuable penny of all is one that should never have existed at all, created by a minting error so rare that collectors fight over every example that appears. These pennies don't look special at first glance, which is why so many people spend them, without realizing what they had. So before you toss your change or feed it into a machine, check every wheat penny carefully. One small copper coin could be hiding life-changing value. Coin number one stopped everything for a moment, because the coin you're about to hear about is one that many people still overlook every single day. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny might look ordinary at first glance, but this small 1-cent coin carries history, hidden value, and surprising collector demand that continues to grow year after year. If you ever wonder whether old pennies are worth money, this is one you absolutely need to know about. The 1945 Wheat Penny was struck by the United States Mint just months after World War II ended. America was transitioning from wartime production back to normal life, and coins from this era reflect that moment in history. This penny was produced at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark just below the date on the front of the coin. That tiny letter alone makes a huge difference in value for collectors. The front of the coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design had already been in use for decades by 1945, but coins from this specific year are especially meaningful. Lincoln's portrait represents unity, sacrifice, and resilience, themes that strongly connected with Americans at the end of the war. The words "In God We Trust" appear along the top, with liberty on the left side and the date 1945 on the right. On the back of the coin, you'll find the iconic wheat ears design that gives the wheat penny its name. 2 wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent, with United States of America and E Pluribus Unum completing the design. This reverse design was used from 1909 until 1958, making it one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. Now, let's talk about what really matters to collectors and viewers like you: value. Most people assume a 1945 penny is only worth 1 cent, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The value of a 1945 wheat penny depends heavily on its condition, color, and whether it has any rare features or errors. In circulated condition, where the coin shows noticeable wear from years of use, a 1945 wheat penny is still worth more than face value. Even well-worn examples are commonly worth several cents, which may not sound exciting until you realize how many people still spend these coins without a second thought. As the condition improves, the value increases significantly. Coins that retain sharp details, clear lettering, and minimal wear can be worth much more. Wheat pennies with strong original color, especially those with bright reddish tones, are far more desirable than dark or heavily worn examples. One of the biggest value drivers for the 1945 wheat penny is strike quality. Because the Denver Mint was producing large quantities of coins at the time, some pennies were weakly struck. Coins with strong details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are far more valuable than flat or blurry strikes. Another major factor collectors look for is mint errors. Errors are where the real excitement begins. Some 1945 wheat pennies were struck with off-center designs, doubling in the lettering or date, or unusual die cracks. These errors were not intentional, and that's exactly why collectors love them. A double die effect, where parts of the lettering or numbers appear doubled, can dramatically increase value. Even minor doubling can catch the attention of collectors who specialize in error coins. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted, are also highly collectible, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. There are also repunched mint marks to look for. In some cases, the D mint mark was punched more than once into the die, creating a shadow or doubled appearance. These varieties are subtle, but they could be worth significantly more than a normal coin. Metal composition is another interesting aspect of the 1945 wheat penny. After experimenting with steel pennies in 1943, the U.S. Mint returned to copper-based coins. The 1945 D penny is composed mostly of copper, giving it that classic warm tone collectors love. This return to copper makes 1945 pennies especially appealing to those who focus on wartime and post-war coinage. Collector demand for wheat pennies remains incredibly strong. Many people start collecting coins with Lincoln cents because they are affordable, historic, and still possible to find in circulation or old collections. The 1945 D wheat penny sits right in the sweet spot. Old enough to be historic, common enough to be accessible, and valuable enough to be exciting. Another reason this coin is popular is nostalgia. For many collectors, wheat pennies remind them of childhood, family collections, or the first time they realized coins could be worth more than face value. That emotional connection keeps demand strong and prices steady. If you have a 1945 D wheat penny, proper storage matters. Keeping the coin away from moisture, heat, and friction can help preserve its condition. Never clean the coin, no matter how dirty it looks. Cleaning can permanently reduce its value and destroy the original surface collectors want to see. So how do you know if your 1945 D wheat penny is special? Start by checking the date and mint mark carefully. Look closely at the lettering, numbers, and wheat stalks. Use good lighting and magnification, if possible. Small details make a big difference. Many valuable coins are hiding in old jars, drawers, and inherited collections. People often overlook pennies because they seem insignificant, but history has proven again and again that small coins can carry big value. The 1945 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny represents more than just money. It represents the end of the global war, the resilience of a nation, and a piece of American history you can still hold in your hand today. That's why collectors continue to search for better examples, rare errors, and untouched pieces from this year. Before you dismiss that old penny, take a second look. You might be holding a coin that collectors actively search for, a coin that has survived decades of change, and a coin that still has a story to tell. If you enjoy learning about valuable U.S. coins, rare pennies, and hidden treasures in everyday change, make sure to stay connected for more deep dives like this one. You never know which coin could be your next discovery. And remember, sometimes the most valuable things are the ones we almost ignore. Coin number 2, stop everything for a moment and take a close look at your loose change. Because one small copper coin hiding in plain sight could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Today we're talking about the 1953 D 1-cent wheat penny from the United States, a classic Lincoln cent that many people overlook but serious collectors search for every single day. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but once you understand its history, minting details, rare errors, and value potential, you'll never look at a wheat penny the same way again. The 1953 D wheat penny was minted during a fascinating time in American history. The early 1950s were a period of recovery and growth following World War II, and the U.S. Mint was producing millions of coins to support a rapidly expanding economy. These pennies were everyday workhorses, passed from hand to hand in grocery stores, gas stations, and small businesses across the country. Because of this heavy circulation, finding a well-preserved example today is becoming increasingly difficult, which is one reason collectors are paying close attention to this date and mint mark. This coin features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design created by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909. By 1953, the Lincoln Wheat Penny design had already become a familiar symbol of American currency. On the reverse, you'll see the famous wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, along with the motto, E pluribus unum. This classic reverse design would soon disappear in 1959, making all wheat pennies, including the 1953 D, part of a closed and highly collectible series. The D mint mark on this coin tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint. Denver was known for producing large quantities of coins, and in 1953, millions of wheat pennies rolled off its presses. However, high mintage does not automatically mean low value. Condition, rarity, and higher grades, and the presence of mint errors can dramatically change how much a coin is worth. That's where things get interesting for collectors and casual coin hunters alike. In terms of metal composition, the 1953 D wheat penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This gives the coin its rich reddish-brown color when well preserved. Because of the copper content alone, these pennies already carry intrinsic value beyond face value. But collectors are not just interested in the metal. They're interested in originality, surface quality, and whether the coin has avoided decades of wear, corrosion, and cleaning. Most 1953D wheat pennies you find in circulation today will be in circulated condition. These coins typically show wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline, and the wheat stalks on the reverse may appear flat or weak. In this condition, the value is modest, but even circulated examples are still popular with beginners building a complete wheat penny set. The real excitement begins when we move into higher grades. Uncirculated and mint state 1953D wheat pennies are where values start climbing. Coins that retain sharp details, original luster, and minimal marks are increasingly difficult to find. Collectors often look for coins graded by professional grading services, as certified grades provide confidence in authenticity and condition. A high-grade example could be worth many times more than a worn one, especially if it has attractive color and strong eye appeal. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1953D wheat penny is the potential for mint errors. Error coins are a major driver of value in the coin collecting world, and Denver Mint errors from the 1950s are especially sought after. Some examples to watch for include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned and part of the coin is missing. These errors are visually dramatic and instantly catch a collector's eye. Another valuable error type is the double die. On a double die coin, certain design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Look closely at the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." If you see clear doubling rather than simple wear or damage, you may be holding a very special coin. Double die wheat pennies can command significant premiums depending on the strength of the doubling. Re-punched mint marks are another feature collectors love. During the 1950s, mint marks were punched into the dies by hand, which sometimes resulted in multiple impressions. A re-punched mint mark can often be seen under magnification, showing extra lines or a shadow behind the primary mint mark. These varieties add another layer of collectability to the 1953D wheat penny. Strike quality also plays a role in value. Some Denver Mint pennies from this era were struck weakly, especially on the reverse. A strong, well-struck coin with full wheat lines and sharp lettering is far more desirable than a weak example. Collectors will often compare multiple coins to find the best strike, even within the same grade. Color is another major factor. Copper coins are typically categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A 1953D wheat penny that still retains its original red color is far scarcer than one that is toned brown over time. Red examples, especially in higher grades, are highly sought after and can bring impressive prices on the market. Many people ask whether it's still possible to find a valuable 1953D wheat penny in pocket change or old jars. While it's becoming less common, it does happen. These coins often turn up in inherited collections, estate sales, or rolls of old pennies purchased from banks. Coin roll hunting remains a popular hobby, and wheat pennies are always an exciting discovery. If you believe you have a high-value example, proper handling is critical. Always hold the coin by the edges and avoid touching the surfaces. Never clean the coin, as cleaning can significantly reduce its value. Even gentle cleaning can leave microscopic scratches that are easily detected by collectors and graders. The market for wheat pennies has remained strong for decades, driven by nostalgia, historical interest, and steady collector demand. The 1953D wheat penny may not be the rarest coin in the series, but it represents an important piece of American numismatic history. As more coins are lost, damaged, or permanently removed from the market, high-quality examples continue to become scarcer. Collectors also appreciate the affordability of wheat pennies compared to many other classic U.S. coins. This makes the 1953D an attractive entry point for new collectors, while still offering enough variation and challenge to keep advanced collectors engaged. From circulated examples to top-grade mint state coins and rare errors, there's something for everyone. In recent years, online auctions and coin marketplaces have made it easier than ever to research prices and track trends. However, values can fluctuate based on demand, condition, and overall market interest. That's why education is so important. The The more you understand about what makes a coin special, the better prepared you'll be to recognize a hidden gem. So the next time you come across a 1953 wheat penny, don't dismiss it as just another old coin. Take a closer look, check the condition, inspect a mint mark, and search for errors or unusual features. That small copper cent could be a meaningful addition to your collection, or even a surprisingly valuable find. Stop for a second and think about this, a tiny 1-cent coin from 1945 that millions of people have spent without ever realizing what they were holding. Today, we're talking about the 1945 United States 1-cent wheat penny, a historic coin that connects directly to the end of World War II American industry, and some of the most interesting value surprises in U.S. coin collecting. The 1945 wheat penny is more than just pocket change. It represents a turning point in American history. The war was ending, soldiers were coming home, factories were shifting back to civilian production, and the U.S. Mint was striking coins for a nation ready to rebuild. Every 1945 wheat penny carries that story in copper. This coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, the same artist who created the Lincoln cent design that first appeared in 1909. On the front, we see Abraham Lincoln facing to the right, a design chosen to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The word liberty appears to the left, the date 1945 is clearly stamped on the right, and "In God We Trust" runs along the top. These details might look simple, but they are packed with symbolism and history. Now flip the coin over, and you'll see the iconic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent, and United States of America with E pluribus unum above. This wheat reverse design was used from 1909 to 1958, and it's one of the most beloved designs in American coin history. When people think of classic pennies, this is a design they picture. The 1945 wheat penny was struck at 3 different U.S. Mint locations. Coins were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If there is no mint mark under the date, that coin was struck in Philadelphia. A small D means it was made in Denver, and an S indicates San Francisco. Each mint produced millions of coins, but not all 1945 wheat pennies are created equal. Philadelphia struck the largest number of 1945 wheat pennies, with hundreds of millions entering circulation. These coins were widely used in daily transactions, from grocery stores to gas stations, and many were heavily worn over time. Denver and San Francisco also produced large quantities, but certain condition levels and strike qualities can make some examples far more desirable than others. One of the most important things to understand about the 1945 wheat penny is its metal composition. Unlike modern pennies, which are mostly zinc, the 1945 wheat penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives the coin its solid weight and classic reddish-brown color. Many people don't realize that older copper pennies actually contain more intrinsic metal value than modern cents. Because of this copper content, the 1945 wheat penny feels different in your hand. It has a slightly heavier weight and a richer tone when dropped. This is one of the easiest ways collectors can tell the difference between older wheat pennies and newer Lincoln cents. Condition plays a massive role in determining the value of a 1945 wheat penny. Coins that were heavily circulated often show smooth details, flattened wheat stalks, and worn lettering. These are very common and usually affordable. However, coins that escape circulation and retain sharp details, original luster, and strong strikes can be far more valuable. Another factor that collectors look for is strike quality. Some 1945 wheat pennies were struck more sharply than others. Strong details in Lincoln's hair, coat, and jawline, as well as clear separation in the wheat ears on the reverse, can make a big difference in desirability. Color also matters. Copper coins naturally change color over time. Some 1945 wheat pennies appear brown, others reddish-brown, and some retain a bright red appearance. Coins that still show strong red color are especially popular with collectors because they indicate minimal exposure to wear and environmental damage. Now, let's talk about errors and varieties, because this is where things get really exciting. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process, and they can dramatically increase the value of a 1945 wheat penny. Some examples include off-center strikes, double lettering, clip planchets, and weak strikes. Double features are especially interesting. These occur when the coin receives more than one impression during the striking process, creating a doubling effect on letters or numbers. A 1945 wheat penny with visible doubling on the date or lettering can attract serious collector attention. Another thing collectors search for is die cracks and die breaks. These are raised lines or irregular shapes caused by damaged dies used to strike the coins. While minor cracks are common, dramatic examples can make a coin far more desirable. The historical context of the 1945 wheat penny adds to its appeal. This was the first full year that the U.S. Mint returned to copper after the steel pennies of 1943 and the transitional alloys used during wartime. By 1945, material shortages were easing, and a familiar copper set returned to circulation in full force. People who lived through the 1940s remember these coins well. They were used during a time of rationing, victory gardens, and post-war optimism. Holding a 1945 wheat penny is like holding a piece of that era in your hand. Many collectors start their journey with wheat pennies because they are affordable, historical, and easy to find. The 1945 issue is often one of the first coins added to a wheat penny collection. Even though it's common, it plays a key role in completing a World War II era set. Searching through old jars, inherited collections, or even pocket change can still turn up wheat pennies today. While finding a 1945 wheat penny in circulation is rare, it's not impossible. That sense of treasure hunting is what keeps so many people fascinated by coin collecting. Another reason the 1945 wheat penny remains popular is its strong demand. Because so many people collect wheat pennies, there is always interest in nice examples. This steady demand helps maintain value and makes the coin easy to trade or sell compared to more obscure issues. Collectors also appreciate the consistency of the design. From 1909 to 1958, the wheat penny design remained mostly unchanged, creating a cohesive and recognizable series. The 1945 penny fits perfectly into this timeline, representing the closing chapter of wartime America. Storage and care are extremely important when dealing with copper coins like the 1945 wheat penny. Copper is sensitive to moisture, oils, and air exposure. Improper handling can cause dark spots, corrosion, or discoloration. Even touching a coin with bare fingers can leave marks over time. That's why many collectors recommend holding coins by the edges and storing them in dry, stable environments. Preserving original surfaces is key to maintaining collector interest. There's also a strong emotional connection tied to the 1945 wheat penny. For many people, these coins came from grandparents or parents who lived through the war years. They serve as small, tangible reminders of family history and national resilience. As time passes, fewer high-quality examples remain. Many were melted, damaged, or lost. This natural reduction in supply makes well-preserved coins increasingly desirable. While the 1945 wheat penny was produced in large numbers, truly nice examples are becoming harder to find. It's important to remember that value isn't just about price. Historical importance, condition, rarity of specific varieties, and collector demand all come together to determine what a coin